¿Qué tal, gente que sintoniza el podcast? Ya sea que lo escuchen en el canal de Spotify o lo vean en el canal de YouTube y lo escuchen también. Yo soy Frank Jiménez, mejor conocido como Frankthulhus, en el mundo del metal y tal vez del podcast también. No lo sé. Es el episodio número 30, el cual tiene un rato pendiente. El día de hoy tuve un invitado muy especial. Tuvimos una plática muy interesante sobre serpientes, veneno. Él es Tim Friede. Él es seguramente el hombre con más inmunidad a los venenos más tóxicos de las serpientes más peligrosas del mundo. Esta charla fue en inglés, ya que él es de Estados Unidos. Así que a quien no tenga problemas puede escucharla perfectamente en Spotify. Pero si no, les recomiendo que vean esta entrevista en YouTube, donde tendrá subtítulos y aparte unas tomas especiales donde Tim demuestra su inmunidad a las serpientes, picándose por mambas negras y serpientes Taipan, entre otras. No se lo pierdan, no quiero decir más. Este es un episodio muy especial y es tan especial que también vamos a presentar el nuevo intro de Frankthulhus Meditations. Yo soy Frankthulhus. Esto es el episodio número 30 con Tim Friede. No se lo pierdan. Esto es Frankthulhus Meditations. So, Tim Friede. Am I right? Like your last name is Friede, right? Am I saying it right or not?
Tim Friede.
Oh, Friede. Yeah, great. Well, Tim Friede, this is like a very special episode for me. This is the 30th episode, so I wanted to be something special. I told you that when I spoke to you, and well, your life has been like some crazy story like I would love people to know. And I think you've contributed a lot to humanity in general. So I wanted to congratulate you for that. And I just wanted you to know that I'm honored you were willing to speak to me because I'm really interested on these kind of topics. I think this is very important so people can be educated on topics like this, which I think are crucial, man, because you never know when something is going to happen to you. And just so people know, well, Tim, is it safely for me to say you're the most immune person on the world for the most venomous serpents? Well,
I would say yes.
Yeah, I would say yes too, man. Like, because
not just with the bites, it's also with the lab work. The lab work's very important.
Oh yeah. That's also
proves everything, you know.
Yeah. I got a lot of questions about that too. Well, let's get started, man. So, well, I just want to say, all my life I've been like a huge fan of nature and species and conservation and knowledge, like, because a lot of people, like, you know, they see an insect or a snake or something and they're like panicking and like the worst reaction possible. And when I saw your videos the first time, well, I've been like watching a lot of stuff about venomous snakes and venomous reptiles and stuff like this for like 3 years, although all my life I've been like loving this species, but more technically, like more from people that can speak about it like real good, like you can understand easily. So as I was saying, I've been watching this content for like 2 years, and all these guys like handle real well all these snakes, right? Like the king cobras and the mambas and all these snakes without getting beaten and stuff like this. And but you can see sometimes the guys get nervous and stuff like this, like, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm also nervous too. Like I'm watching these videos and I'm sweating and stuff like this, man. So I don't know how I hadn't like watched your videos, because I knew about you just recently, like 3 weeks ago, and by a suggested video on my YouTube page. And this video was not even from your page; it was from another one, and it was something like man that can survive black mamba bite, and I was like, what the fuck is these people talking about? And then I saw this video and you were taking the snake, and it bit you 3 times on the finger, I think, or something like this. And then you were like, oh yeah, it bit me 3 times on the finger, but I'm still gonna let it bite my arm, which was even crazier to me because we got a lot of like veins, and it's gonna go directly on the bloodstream. So that was crazy to me, man. So tell me, how does this started?
That was for Wizard of Oz Odd TV, and that's at a point in my career to where I got to nobody was believing me, and I had to push the limits as far as I could push the limits. And there's actually 4 mama bites that day, 2 in the finger, 2 in my arm, and that's what I've been doing for a long time. You're not going to get the word across if you don't prove it. Nobody wants to see it dilute venom down, big deal. They want to see the bites. Nothing set up whatsoever. And through those interactions, I found a company that I work with, to build a human anti-venom.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to that point, and yeah, we're almost 5 years into it. It's been a long, complicated, expensive process. But it's really cool to see. Beating the bite's one thing, but having scientists back you up and getting support and being studied in the lab, that's a whole new level.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, no, that was my entire goal with it. The bites were one thing, not to die, but to have my blood studied, how immune I am with my titer levels, it's a whole new level. So I took it to that level, and I was happy with that. We're making some huge progress. I mean, hopefully we can change the anti-venom. And since Albert Calmetti, when his book came out in 1908, it's been the same anti-venom for over 120 years. Yeah,
I saw that too.
And so this is the first time that we can actually, because of synthetic biology and antibody engineers, we can engineer these antibodies to directly hit what we want to hit.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been working on for the last 5 years. And it's complicated. It's not like one antigen, it's hundreds of antigens. So we need the antibodies, which are IgG, which stands for gamma. That's 80% of your antibodies.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we've cloned. We've cloned these antibodies to realize these certain toxins across the world. And it's complicated, but it's a very fun puzzle to work with. I enjoy working with it.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome.
I can believe 100% it's complicated, because, well, another topic I wanted to like speak with you, it's you can like almost divide venomous snakes like in 2 kinds, not right? Like elapids and vipers, or Viperidae and elapidae. And basically the difference is the elapids, which I believe it's all of the cobra families and the mambas and all these snakes. They have neurotoxic venom, which attacks directly the nervous system and stuff like this, causes paralysis and all this stuff. And then you get the vipers, like the rattlesnakes and like the bushmasters and all these crazy snakes that this venom is like necrosant, like it will literally rotten your skin and muscle and tissue and everything. And
Yep.
well, I know it's like hard to create this like universal anti-venom, like you were saying, because even though you can like divide these snakes in these two like families, every snake with its personal venom, they got like their signature thing, right? Like, I don't know, like I saw, for example, like these spitting cobras, like these spitting African cobras, their venom like gets dehydrated real easy, and you can even develop like allergies and stuff like this, right? Like, so that's that venom trait. But I don't know, like rattlesnakes will rotten your skin like super fast, man. So how do you guys think you're gonna solve this problem about like all these like very specific things about every specific venom?
That's a good question. What we're doing is we're breaking everything down. We started with the neuromuscular junction, the neurotoxic ones.
Yeah.
And there's 10 different types of neurotoxins. And we started with which is called nicotinic alpha toxins. There's long and shorts. The LD50s are off the charts with this. It's 0.09, 0.08. And we started with what's called the D9 antibody. And the D9 antibody, they call it D9 because on an in vitro grid, that's the hottest antibody that we had. Nothing to do with in vivo with mice. And we picked that antibody out. It's called D9.
Okay.
And that's our first antibody that we cloned from my blood. And we wanted to neutralize that. Now, what are the chances that one antibody can neutralize whole venom? We did 5 mice, we did 10 mice, 100% died with a maximum lethal dose, an LD 100. And after they all died, we did it again and used that D9 antibody and included it, and they all survived.
Oh, just damn. That's super cool.
Yep, it's awesome. So we started with that because that's the number one priority. After that priority are PLA2 toxins, the most venomous fractions on the planet, textilotoxin, 0.001, and Taipan, 0.002. So that's our next goal, is to build that foundation. Now, once that's done, that's just half the project.
Yeah.
The other half of the project is, like you mentioned, the necrotic stuff, hemostasis, hemorrhagens, the things that cause problems too. So now we have to build antibodies to those things. There's 4 major families in snake venom. And those are the 4 that we're working on. 3 are enzymes: PLA2, snake venom metalloproteinase, snake venom serine proteinase, and 3-finger toxins. So that's what we're trying to build antibodies towards. There's subfamilies with that, but we're trying to build other ones and try to just slowly build this puzzle and keep knocking things down. So that's what it takes. So we have to work on, if you can beat the elapids neurotoxicity-wise, now we have to deal with all necrotic fractions.
Yeah.
And behind me, actually, that's my entire map of the whole project.
Oh, great.
Well, there's 2 maps. It's neuromuscular junction. Over here is going to be hemostasis. And we have to slowly, just methodically plug it away and keep neutralizing. Now, what surprised me with that is that D9 antibody to neutralize pure venom in all the snakes that we used. That's insane. That's just one antibody. So it's taken out the major part of the venom, and the rest you can blow off. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. After that, we go to PLA2 with the neuromuscular junction. And after that's done, there's 8 more toxins just at the neuromuscular junction. And we're trying to slowly plug that away, which takes time, money. It just takes a long time to do it, but we're very successful. Those in vivo studies, and in vivo means in mice, if it didn't neutralize it, well, this project is shit. It ain't going to work. Or I'm not immune. Well, I'm immune, and the project in the lab is awesome. It's going awesome.
Yeah, man.
First publication. Oh, yeah, our first publication hopefully comes out in about a month or 2. I have the publication I'm looking at here. But when that comes out, that's going to be awesome. That's 5 years worth of work just in the lab to get the publication out, hopefully in Nature magazine. And that'll lead us to more funding and, more progress.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah, totally. And this you're speaking about, it's the Human Anti-Venom project, right?
Yep.
This publication that's gonna come out, it's gonna be from this. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I can't wait to read it. Yeah, it's huge, man. And well, you when you were talking about this last part, you mentioned the Taipan. Man, I gotta tell you, when I saw the Black Mamba video, it was like, what the fuck, man? Like, and you were so calm and stuff like this, and I was like, what the fuck? This guy, it's like unreal. And then I watch you, like, I started like researching, and I saw this video when you were injecting yourself with the Taipan, and I was like, holy fucking shit, man. Like, if I was impressed by the Mamba, then the Taipan, I was like, holy fuck. And then when I saw you did both at the same day, I was like, man, what the fuck? So then I started like researching you, and I gotta say, man, like, I started like, I saw, for example, a little things we got in common, like we both like metal and stuff like this. Oh yeah, man. And so I was like, man, I gotta know if this guy is still alive or something, because I want to talk to him. So then I went to your channel, and I saw like the last video was like 5 years ago or something, and it was like, oh man, this is not looking good. So then I went to Google and researched you, and then I found you on Twitter, and I saw like you had some recent publication. I was like, okay, I think this guy it's reachable. So then I talked to you, and man, you replied super fast, so that was super awesome too. Like, I got like a surreal moment there. And well, thank you so much again for doing this. So I got a lot of like questions, man. Like, oh, I also wanted to ask you, I follow a lot this guy. His nickname is Coyote Peterson. I don't know if you know who this dude is.
I've seen him on TV.
So this guy, he studies like the pain index of a lot of like insects that are really painful when they bite you and stuff like this. So I wanted to ask you if you got like any like pain index, like Mamba like hurts more than, I don't know, Taipan. I'm gonna guess like all these necrotic snakes or vipers, like rattlesnakes and stuff like this. I'm gonna guess those are the most painful ones, because I guess it's just gonna feel like you're burning alive or something. I don't know. So I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, I've had 6 rattlesnake bites, 3 Mojave, 3 Western Diamondback. And the Western Diamondbacks are on my fingers. That's the worst.
Oh,
Western Diamondbacks. It'll take 2 months for me to recover from a Western Diamondback bite, and I can recover from a Taipan bite or a black bite in 1 day to 2 days. That's because of the venom. The venom's completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, completely different. If you're not immune, you're going to die fast as hell.
Yeah.
If you're immune, you're still going to swell up, because venom's inflammatory by nature. More venom, the more swelling, the more pain, the more pressure on nerves. So if you get bit by a 10-foot black mamba, yeah, they have 5 of the 10 neurotoxins, but the venom yields can be so high. And if I get bit twice, a lot of back-to-back bites, I'm going to pay the price for that, but I can still pretty much blow it off in a couple days. But Western Diamondback, bad. Cape Cobra, bad. Mono Cobra, bad. Egyptian Cobra, bad, because of those cytotoxins. They eat your muscle cells apart.
Yeah.
And even with immunity, you're still going to have scarring. It's still going to eat muscle cells apart. It still sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
Elapids can be necrotic as well, as opposed to like the really easy one is actually one of the most venomous snakes in the world, the water cobra from Africa, around the Congo, LD 50.14. Easy to do, super easy to do. There's no necrotic fractions whatsoever. It's a pure neurotoxin, long and short nicotinic alpha neurotoxin.
So can I interrupt you here real fast? I just had a question that I just got. So is there any, for example, any snake which got like both like neurotoxin and the necrotic venom at the same time?
Oh, cobras for sure.
Oh,
Most snakes.
fucking shit. So there are lapids and they also have necrotic stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you have to look at rattlesnakes too. Interesting fact: the western diamondback and eastern diamondback don't have any neurotoxins because they lost those genes to make them 6 million years ago.
Oh.
So they don't have those. It's metalloproteinase, serine proteinase. But other snakes, like the Mojave rattlesnake, maintain those genes, so they have that neurotoxicity. So the venom variation in venom is all over the board. I mean, it can have multiple different types of neurotoxins. It can be necrotic. It can be a neurotoxin. It can be both. It's what screws you up are all those things are coming at you at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not just things. So that's what makes cobras bad. They're neurotoxic highly, and the cytotoxins highly necrotic. So you're dealing with losing a finger or an arm or dying from the neurotoxicity. So
yeah.
Every snake is, even the snakes that eat the same food, if you take taipans, for example, well, there's, 4. P and G, I don't have a lot of information on, but the other 3, they basically eat rodents. But if you look at their venom profile, completely different.
Oh.
Completely different, just like rattlesnakes. And that's because of gene duplication. The loss and birth of gene evolutionary biology drives this whole force.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why it's
completely
so different. And that's been proven in rattlesnakes. It's been proven in everything.
Yeah, man.
Regardless of what they're eating, their venom profile is all over the board,
Evolution is crazy.
Oh, evolution's beautiful.
It varies a lot, man. So, yeah, completely.
It's the biggest novelty in biology is venom.
Oh, yeah.
Whether that 600 million years ago from a jellyfish to recently snakes.
Yeah.
It just constantly keeps evolving and changing. It's beautiful. So that's the hard thing to figure out, though, with what I do. And that's why I picked the snakes that I picked, because I wanted to pick maybe not the ones that kill you the most, but I wanted that Ig antibody in me that can neutralize the most powerful fractions in snake venom. And that's why I can cross over so many things. And that comes from the lab.
Yeah.
I've never used King Cobra. I'm immune to King Cobra. I've never used Bothrops, Asper, Atrox. I have really high titer levels to that.
Oh.
The reason for that is because I use Western Diamondback Crotalus Atrox.
Interesting.
It recognizes that. Even though I've never used those snakes, my antibodies recognize that because they're very similar in those 4 families.
So
it's cool stuff.
Yeah, super cool stuff, man. So I'm gonna ask a question that I had for later on, but I'm gonna ask it right now because I think it comes perfectly with what you just said. So, for example, there's some snakes that are recently discovered or stuff like this, right? Like vipers and a lot of things. And they're so recently discovered that they don't know exactly how the venom acts and stuff like this. So they found some years ago this viper in China. I think they're called menshangs, I think. And I've seen, I researched it a little and nobody knows really what's going on with the toxicity of the venom. So I wanted you to ask you, can you be immune to these types of venom that are not really well researched, considering that you're immune to the primordial base of the venom itself, if I can say it like that without violating any scientific language?
No, absolutely. And our whole goal is for us to make the human anti-venom that we can cross to things I've never used, because those antibodies in those 4 families recognize it. If you focus on those 4 families, it's going to react to any snake, even if you don't use it. And that's the neat thing about making the anti-venom. You don't know what snake bit you, it doesn't matter because it's universal. That's our goal.
Yeah.
We want it to be universal regardless of any snake that bites you. If it's a coral snake, if it's a viper, if it's a pit viper, Australia, what you name it. And that's what we're doing in the lab right now is we're doing in vivo studies with mice to use snakes I've never used. Is that going to work? Regardless of the snake. And so we're doing testing on that right now, which is fantastic. Now, the problem is if the mice still do die with the antibodies that we have, then we have a problem. Then we're going to need antibodies that we don't have, which means I would have to make those antibodies, which I can do in 3 months. I can make those antibodies with any given snake easily. It doesn't have to be a year. So if you fall weak in an area, I could pick a different snake and use that. But I'm telling you, dude, with these antibody engineers, they can do stuff in the computer to adjust subfamilies, to adjust amino acids. And amino acids are key in this whole thing. Those amino acids can see things and they can move them around and we can tweak it. And that's what the job of the doctors, the antibody engineers in the lab is to tweak these antibodies. Do they work? If they don't work, how can we fix it? Do we have to change amino acids? Do we have to change a subfamily on IgG around? And it's a constant puzzle back and forth. And once we have the answers, we move on to the next problem. So that's, because I'm not going to be immune to every single thing. It's not my goal to have every venomous snake on the planet and beat it. I wanted to pick the most dangerous ones I could find and beat those and have that foundation Ig in my body. And that's what I did, and that's turned out to be true. Does that mean I could beat every venomous snake? I don't know. I don't plan on finding that out.
Yeah, it would be painful. I'm gonna guess like all this trajectory until this moment has been painful, like a lot. More. So I have two questions. One that popped me up like right now when you were speaking. So you said like, for example, if these mice needed your antibodies, you would need like 3 months to create them. So the last thing I found about you on the snake bites were like you were like retired from it. So my question was going to be like, if you needed to create more antibodies, like would you need to get yourself bitten again, or just like injecting some microdose, or how would you
that's a good question. I would need the snake that I would need to use. I need a needle, I need a glove, and I can go from 0.0011 milligrams to 6 milligrams in 3 months. Done it. Regardless of the snake. That's all it takes.
Okay.
And after that point, you want to do your booster shots. You don't want to get bit right away because number one, you can die.
Yeah.
Number two, like you said, I retired 4 years ago from it, but it's kind of like riding a bike. You get back into it, you do it. And then at that point, you have to maintain your booster shots. Very, very important. You don't want to go 2 years without shooting up because your titer levels drop in time.
Yeah.
So I make sure that my notes are 100% accurate. My pictures are accurate. I weigh venom out, I dry venom out, and I measure it out very specifically to get to the goal. For me, is 6 milligrams. I want 6 dry, I want 30 wet. I've done that for almost 2 decades now, and it's worked every time, and I know it works because number one, I proved it, and number two, the lab proved it. So that's the neat thing about it.
Yeah.
And I've been studied like 5 times in a laboratory, which in this trade is almost unheard of because it's really hard to get studied.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's not, you just don't go to your local corner doctor and, have your blood drawn and have antibody engineers figure it out. So, to be honest, that's how it worked. When I did a black bite and Taipan bite on Barcroft TV back to back, that's where the company that I worked for, CENTIVAX, saw me. And he called me up, the president, Dr. Jacob Glanville, and said, hey, I need your blood. Let's do this. And bam, that was it. But that took a long time to do. That didn't happen overnight.
Like, is he the one that connected you to CENTIVAX?
He's the president of CENTIVAX.
Oh, he is the president. Oh, okay.
He's the president.
Yeah. I watch him on your story, and he's a very interesting character himself. So yeah,
from Guatemala, not too far from you.
Yeah. I also saw that's super cool too, man. So before we go into Jacob, which I have some questions about him too and about the project, I just one last question about these last topics we were speaking. So does the boosters or the microdose also hurt? Like the venom also hurt in your bloodstream, or it's nothing like a bite?
It's not even close. Like when I okay, let's say I milk a black mamba and I shoot up 3 units, 0.03 cc's. I get a 3x3 swell. Next day I go back to work, I'm 100%. Now, if I get bitten, it's completely different because you can't control the venom. You don't know how much is in there.
Yeah.
And it's usually always more than 30 milligrams. It could be hundreds. So the booster shots are just like a bee sting.
Interesting.
But the bites are completely different. It's night and day.
Yeah, because
if I get bit once or twice by a black, I can swell from my fingertips to my neck. As opposed to that 3x3 swell with those 3 units. That's easy to do, but you have to get to that point to know you can beat that bite. And then you have to get bit to figure out, well, is it going to work or not? If it doesn't work, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Yeah.
So, and I separate venoms too. I don't like adding venoms together because you don't know how each one feels.
Yeah.
So I always separated everything. Like Taipan, how does it feel versus black? Different. Water cobra versus Taipan, different. Western Diamondback versus Mojave, different. And that's the way you can really understand the way venom feels in your body.
Okay.
And that's, for me, that's a cool thing. I like that.
Yeah, it's super interesting, man. And like I said, it's cool like you did it. And this is a perfect example like when you put something in your mind and you work towards it, like you can get awesome results. Like you prove a lot of people wrong. So, well, first of all, in this like pain index thing, when I watch you get beaten and stay really calm and stuff like this, I needed to ask you because I'm like a lot into meditation and stuff like this and breathing exercises. So I wanted to ask you if breathing somehow or any technique or something, it's got anything to do with this calmness that you have when you get bitten, because I know I don't know because I've never got bitten, but I can imagine it's a super hurtful thing. So I wanted to ask you that question.
No, most of it is mental.
Oh.
I mean, you can't really have a weak nerve. I know it's happening physically to me. I know the biology of it. But there's a difference about talking about that and actually getting hit by a black or a Taipan or whatever and not losing your mind.
Yeah.
You just really, and that comes through saddle time. It comes through doing it. It's like anything in life, the more you do it, the better you get at it.
And the easier it becomes.
Easier it becomes.
Allegedly.
It's a tough road to take. I mean, there's, I have to deal with death. It's not like I can just break an arm and blow it off.
Yeah.
It's similar to anything you do in life, but you really, like you said, have to have mega dedication. You don't want to miss boosters. You want to keep good notes. You just don't want to guess and say, oh, it's been 2 years. Let's see what happens. I'm very methodical with my stuff. I wasn't at first because I didn't frankly give a shit. I didn't know what I was doing. I started out with scorpion stings and they were horribly painful.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Oh, they're horribly painful. Even though the yields are low, it just lights you up. Oh, bark scorpions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, scorpions are crazy too.
Oh, man. I mean, they're not going to kill a lot of people. They might only kill 1,000 people a year versus 125,000 with snake bite. But, ooh, is it painful.
Man, here in Mexico, we got a lot of them. And I think we are the country with the most venomous and most species of scorpions, man. Centruloids. Yeah, that's also good. I have also one episode. I think it was the third episode, actually. Third. Crazy.
And it was all about scorpions with a friend of mine who's a doctor, and he got like this medical speech about scorpions. So we talked about, we even ate some scorpions with mezcal on that episode. It was fun. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy.
You're in a better place than I live in.
Where are you right now? I saw you were on Wisconsin, I think.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. I think
cold and shitty and.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. I've never been there, but I've been to Minnesota, and that place is cold as fuck too.
just as bad.
Yeah.
Just as, not worse.
Oh yeah, man, that's crazy. So, well, let's get back a little bit about Jacob and the Anti-Venom project. So, well, I wanted to ask you also. Well, Jacob found you like out of luck. It was he was like searching for something else, and he was like, this idea popped on his mind, and he found you on the internet, and he was like, "This is my guy." So then you met with him, right? And so you started speaking. But what's impressive for me is like, this was like 2017, right?
2017.
And you've been doing this for like a really long time, like from the beginning of the 2000s, I believe, right?
2001 is when I started taking notes. I actually started in 1998.
Oh.
But for 2 years, I didn't take notes. 3 years, I just didn't take notes, have pictures. And I was doing it, but for some reason, I realized I had to take notes. To get the information out there. It wasn't just about doing a video or, doing it for myself. I realized back then that people die from snake bite. And that's when I got out of the scorpion thing, because that's how I started doing it. But then I'm like, whoa, 125,000 people a year die. 5 million people are bitten, and 400,000 people a year lose arms, legs, hands, feet. So I redirected the whole entire course of my stuff. And put my effort in to beating snakebite. I just didn't know how to go about that, actually. And I just, like you said, persistent, kept doing it, and then just pushed so hard. And one of the reasons I pushed hard is because I had so many naysayers saying I couldn't do it, or it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Or the lab's not going to take you seriously. Or you're never going to get peer reviewed. You're never going to get emails. Well, I got a Nobel Prize winner email right back here. So when I started beating the bites, it got pretty quiet. And that's why I did it. And that's why I got studied in the lab. And that's how I ended up meeting Dr. Glanville. And that's why I've been studied at least 5 times. That was my goal. So everything they said I couldn't do, fuck you, I did it.
Oh, yeah, man. Fuck them.
And I proved it. I had to prove it in my own life. It wasn't easy, but talk is cheap. So you got to take those hits. You got to get started in the lab. You got to put yourself out there like I have, and that's why I ended up the way I did now. Now, it wasn't perfect by any stretch. Not even close to being perfect. But there's no book on this. There's no place in the world you can go to academia-wise that can teach you how to beat snakebite, but I can do it in a tiny little room like this in 3 months. And that's been my whole principle behind it. The goal's not 100% done, but it's about as far as I can possibly take it.
Yeah, man, I was going to tell you, like, I just wanted you to end what you were saying, but fuck the naysayers, man. Like, all these people, and I think I'm almost like tired of talking about this. Like, there's always fucking people that will talk shit. And I'm a like great believer that people that talk shit, it's because they just can't imagine themselves doing something relevant, because sometimes, or a lot of times, or most times, hard things or relevant things, they don't see themselves doing these things. So they think nobody can do these things. I think it's almost like an ego thing. Like, they told you almost because they know they can't, so they don't want you to do it. because then they're gonna be like, well, if he can, maybe I could have, but now I can't because now he did, because he did believe on himself. So yeah, I mean, fuck the naysayers and fuck their noise and stuff like this.
I agree, and there's one word: jealousy.
Yeah, jealousy is the perfect word.
It's the perfect word for it because, let's say you're milking snakes. I won't name any names. And you say it doesn't work, but I can beat it and it works. Now, if you're milking snakes or you live where there's snakes that can kill you, why would you not want to be immune? It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it makes super perfect sense.
They make it in mammals, they make it in horses. Why can't I make it in a human, in a Homo sapien? And that was my logic behind it. But as far as the naysayers go, I let that go because it took too much time for me. I was getting too upset. The only way I was going to beat him was with productivity.
Yeah.
Proving, getting studied in the lab, being positive, not looking at all the comments. I don't read comments. That's not going to help me. Once in a while I might, but they don't understand. It's easy to get on the net and start typing shit.
Oh yeah, super easy.
But it's a little more difficult to take that bite. It's a little more difficult to get studied in the lab.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and people don't understand that. And I've gotten over that though, because if you let that dwell on you too much, you can't be productive. You're done. You're stale.
Yeah, I mean.
So I just gave it up, cut it off.
Yeah, it's completely unnecessary. Like, I think it's a sign of intelligence. It's like to take good criticism, or real criticism, because it doesn't have to be good, but like you gotta be intelligent so you can take that, but nothing else. Like, not all these fucking comments, and because people get obsessed over this thing, like people get obsessed with other people that they don't even fucking know and they've never met and they've never seen on their lives, and because they said something on the internet, they got like all their life fucked up and their mind fucked up, and it's crazy, man. It's super fucking crazy, and it's super common nowadays. But well, I'm glad like you block all that part and you just go towards your goal, man. I think that's the most intelligent thing you can do.
Yeah, and you're right. The criticism doesn't bother me because, like you said, I take the good things away from it. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe they know something I don't. I don't know everything, but I pick it apart. Don't respond back to them and do what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know? It took a long time to do that because with the advent of social media and Facebook and Twitter, it's easy for anybody to say anything constantly.
Yeah.
And it can be a good thing if you pick it apart, but it can be a bad thing if it sucks you in. And I cut it off a long time ago, minus posting just stuff that I need to post for the business aspect of it. But other than that, you know, it's a been there, done that thing. You know, they're not going to tell me anything. So
yeah, nobody can.
You know, and I've learned a lot from that. I still hear shit and blah, 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 but I roll it off.
And that's always going to be part of it.
Yeah. Anytime you change science and basically immunology, you're going to have grief, but I've learned to love the grief. You know, I like disproving people wrong. And for people that die from snake bites, not for me. You know, it's for the people that die every day, you know, and I've been looking at that for most of my life, and it's like, all right, you can either bitch about it or do something about it. And I did something about it. It still hurts because every time I turn the internet, somebody's died from snake bite.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting here with the cure, you know, basically. So you just learn to blow it off and mature, grow up, be more professional. You know, I had to go through the growing pains with that tremendously. You know, it takes time to have your name out there and have a cause for good reason.
Yeah.
And be productive with it. And I think I have, you know, made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, but I ain't making them now. So that's a good thing. It's awesome.
And everybody makes mistakes, man. And you're good.
Oh, yeah.
and I also believe like the more unexplored your field is, for example, yours, it's fucking unexplored as fuck. Like your topic, it's like so brand new, like for this, right? Like you were saying, like this anti-venom, it's being used for the last 100 and I don't know what years, which is fucking crazy. And it was designed by, I got this also here. It was designed, by Albert
Calmetti.
Yeah, that guy. And he also designed the vaccine for tuberculosis, man. But this was like a lot of fucking time ago. So it's crazy that, like, that's why I was saying this field, it's unexplored, because only you know, like, the real things about this topic on specific, like you were saying, nobody else can tell you nothing about this.
Well, it's there's definitely people that know more about venom than I do. I'm not a venom expert by any stretch. I don't claim to be. But as far as beating the bites and how it feels, I've never talked to a scientist that can beat a bite. That includes PhDs.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way. So I try to get better at understanding what venom does and, you know, map out the program that we're using right now and how we're going to build this product and get it in the field. And it's a good thing, because now that I don't have snakes anymore, I can study a whole hell of a lot harder. And it's a lot to study. I mean, I have books that are 600-700 pages back here, next to my Albert Camus right there, that are so complicated you can't read them. And what my goal is to map out the whole project in 2 sheets of paper, 8x11. Neuromuscular junction, hemostasis, and map out everything. And that's how I built the vaccine on myself. And that's how we're making the human anti-venom. And that's what has to be understood. I just didn't want to have it in 700 pages. If you can't explain it on 2 sheets of paper, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little more than 2 sheets of paper, but the main gist of it is neuromuscular junction and hemostasis, which is a horribly complicated field.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Played tremendously with that, so it's pretty much where I spend most of my time is studying those things.
Oh, that's good.
I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I love science too, like, since I was a kid. So speaking of this, well, I was reading the human anti-venom, like, bio, where there's the story about you and Jacob and how you met and all the things that you've done together and all the things he's done on his part and all the things you've done by yourself. So, well, I also, there I read this, it's something you do that you call Darwinian Notes. So, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because I'm a huge fan of science, and, well, Darwin, it's a big one. So I wanted to know about this.
1859, Origin of Species. Charles Darwin, one of my heroes, was a Darwinian note taker. He'd walk around his backyard and do constant notes and constantly think. And that's exactly what I do with this. He didn't know everything. You know, back in the day, he didn't even know what DNA was until Francis and Crick. But what he did was really important, is take really good notes. And I read a couple of his books, and I'm like, shit, I got to get a little bit more like that. Not like him, obviously, but a little bit closer to that mentality.
Yeah.
And that's back in 2001. I started reading his stuff, and I'm like, all right, I got to get bit, take notes. Do injections, take notes. Try different snakes, take notes. And that's why my note collection is huge. And that really, really helps, because I can go back and look at what bit me, what was my booster shot, how many milligrams, how did I dry it out, and work my way through that. But that was life-changing for me.
That's
1859, nice. Species, totally.
Oh, great, man. Yeah, that's a good.
I don't want to discredit Bates and Wallace either, because they did a huge, huge part of that with him. But the three of those people, they changed biology, plain and simple.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool, man. I wanted to ask you because I saw it and I found it really interesting. So yeah, I needed to do that question. I also I have this like really specific question because, you know, there's a lot of anaphylactic shocks when something that's not only snakes, like it can even happen with a bee, or if you're allergic to the venom, you're going to have an attack. So, for example, I have like a really specific question about these spitting cobras that comes from Africa, I think. And all these guys that I look on YouTube and stuff like this, they were saying like this snake, it's kind of problematic to have because since it spits its venom, it dries, and you like when you are like, I don't know, cleaning the enclosure and stuff like this, you inhale this dried venom, and you almost like develop an allergy to the venom because of this. And so if any snake that has any venom that I don't know how to put it, like that relates to that, you can have a shock because you're now allergic because you've been inhaling all of this venom that's on the glass and stuff like this when this cobra spits. So if you, for example, I wanted to ask you, if you're immune like you are, do you think you could have a cobra like this and don't have this problem about getting an allergy to the venoms because of this dried venom, for example? I don't know if I formulated that question right.
No, you said it perfectly. Out of your 5 antibodies, you have what's called IgE. That's your bad antibody. That'll bind to base cells, mast cells, release histamine. That's why you get anaphylactic shock. And people that work around a lot of those venoms wear masks. I'm also allergic. When I was studying in 2003, I had super high IgG titers, and I also had IgE titers. I've had anaphylactic shock probably a dozen times, and it sucks.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
It's bad. But here's the cool thing. The good antibodies, the IgG, become blocking antibodies to the IgE, so the IgE doesn't bind to those cells. It's the same principle that they do with VIT, venom immunotherapy. The reason they do that with wasps, fire ants, hornets, is to stop that shock. And the reason they're stopping that shock is by injecting the venom, they're creating good antibodies, IgG, and they're blocking the IgE. It's the weirdest thing in the world to feel.
Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's why it's always good to carry an epi-gun just in case.
Yeah.
And I still carry epi-guns. I haven't used any. I wrote out the shock to see what it felt like. And holy shit. Both hands, hives, constant hives from a black mamba bite. 3 hours it took to beat that. I beat the venom, but then I'm like, what's my next bite going to be like? I mean, the IgE can kill you faster than the venom can kill you itself.
Oh my God.
That's what's a trip.
Yeah, it's a whole trip, man.
Died from copperhead bites in 15 minutes before the venom did anything to him because of shock.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And all these guys that I also watch, they all also microdose on venoms and stuff like this, so they can, they can have some immunity in case any of these snakes bite them, because you know, when you handle these animals, you're always at risk. Like, no matter how much an expert you are, you can always risk to get bitten. So, yeah, I wanted to ask you like that question because it made my mind like a little curious. So I have some other questions for you here. I don't know if like, how are you in time? Like, can you?
I don't give a shit. I ain't going nowhere.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, well, I saw also like you were featured in some cool content platforms like Nat Geo. Oh, and I didn't saw this episode, but I acknowledged you were on Stan Lee's Superhumans. And well, I was a huge fan of Stan Lee's growing up as a teenager. So I found that really cool. So I wanted to ask you about those experiences on TV and on these programs, and how these people like found you, or how did you found them? Like, because opportunities are kind of crazy. Like I've been on the music world and the podcasting world, and I also have like this design business. So opportunities came from crazy places. So I just wanted to ask you about that, to see what you say.
Stanley's Superhumans is really cool because they picked 32 of the most, I don't know, craziest people on the planet.
Yeah.
And they picked me because I was getting bit by snake bite, and Stan Lee gave me the nickname of Anti-Venom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's really funny because of that, because now we're making a human anti-venom.
Yeah.
And he gave me the name Anti-Venom. So like you said, as a kid, I grew up loving Stan Lee too. I didn't get a chance to meet him because he was old. He's in his 90s. But to be on his show was...
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was 2 days of craziness. I mean, it was so much fun. And the Nat Geo one was really weird too, because I got kicked off Nat Geo, what was it? 2003?
Oh.
So I injected myself with monoclonal venom, 144 milligrams. I wanted to see if I can basically not blow my leg off. That was my point. But they kicked me off because I was too aggressive with it.
Oh, yeah.
I got, it took me 2 months to recover. Had to amputate part of my muscle. And about maybe 3-4 years later, a buddy of mine, Henry Rollins from the Henry Rollins Band.
Oh, yeah, I know the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, super, super cool, dude. He hooked up with me and said, "Look, do you want to get back on Nat Geo? I'm the host, Snake Underworld." I'm like,
oh, yeah. Man, that's great.
It was awesome. So he flew out, we filmed that. And that was, I love Henry Rollins, love spoken word, love Black Flag, love everything heavy metal that he's part of.
Oh, yeah.
We filmed that. It was just phenomenal, So I stayed in touch with him for a long time. Haven't talked to him in a long time because he's real busy, but yeah, and did Discovery Channel and Science Channel and 3 Ripley's Believe It's, and I can't even think all of them. But, the more press at that time that I got out there, the better it was, because I looked at it differently. I'm like, I didn't give a shit about me being on TV and getting bit. I truly cared about the people that died from snake bite.
Yeah.
And every year that I did it and I didn't do anything, that's 125,000 people gone. So I always signed up for that stuff, minus stupid shit on Animal Planet. I'm not going to do that. But I try to keep it as serious as possible. And now they're doing a documentary on me for Netflix.
Oh, really?
We've been working on that for a year and a half.
Nice, man.
Not just, but the lab too. So they want to take it from my history with it to when the product, hopefully in 2-3 years, hits the field.
Nice. Let me know when that's out so I can share it everywhere.
Yeah. It's gonna be kind of weird though, because I don't get bit anymore. But they're gonna take my past bites and videos and incorporate that in the CENTIVAX in the lab in San Francisco, and make either a movie or documentary on it. They've done 3 Netflix already documentaries. They're awesome dudes. I'm a year and a half into the project. Actually, next week I go to San Francisco and just keep filming again. But I'm going to film in the lab, with PhD scientists. So we're going to take it to a whole new mental level.
Oh, yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, man, that's great.
Basically, it is. It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So I never would have thought they'd be doing, a 3-year documentary on me, but it's not just good for the anti-venom project. It's good for everything that CENTIVAX does. They have a lot of different projects. My project's just 1 out of 7. They have 7 major projects. I'm probably low on the list, but I'm still on the list. It's at CENTIVAX.com. And it's good for the whole company, for COVID, different variants, HIV, different bacterial problems, different vaccines.
Man, sorry, no, just.
No, go ahead.
Oh, because you said the vaccines and the HIV and stuff. I had another question, and I found this really interesting, and I don't know if it's a stupid question or it's a good question, but is there a possibility that you can have a vaccine that it's the anti-venom, so you can be protected in case a snake bites you? Like, is that a stupid question, or it's that possibility?
No, nothing's a stupid question, but in all honesty, what they need is a multi-continental, not just vaccine, but a better anti-venom. We're already working on anti-venom. But above that, if you do what I do and develop a vaccine yourself, regardless of where you are, let's say you're in India. Well, you pick the big four. Make a vaccine in India. Now, if you can do that, which what I would do if I was in India, you wouldn't need the antivenom.
The big four, you mean the four venom types, right?
Four big ones: common crate, Naya, spectacle cobra, Echis, and Deboyer Russell's viper.
Yeah. When you said the big four, I thought like Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, and Megadeth.
Well, they're. Oh, I love that concert, by the way. Ooh.
Oh yeah, crazy.
That's why I always wear Slayer T-shirts when I get bit, because I just love Slayer.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about the bites. They're like, dude's got a Slayer shirt on. What the hell?
Yeah, man. When I saw the Slayer shirt, I was like, what the fuck, this dude? Like, I was like, this dude's cool because he gets bitten by snakes. But then I watched the Slayer T-shirt and I was like, okay, this guy got like a little bit cooler.
Yeah. And Kerry King was actually on Nat Geo with us.
Oh, really? Holy shit.
Kerry King, but he was on there too. And it's like, oh shit, how perfect is this?
Crazy, man.
I know. So.
Oh, sorry. So you were saying.
To go back to the question, though, I think it's hard to explain because I'm talking to people from the old world, and most of the countries feel they're expendable. Snake bite is non-transferable. It's a non-infectious disease. I can't give it to you.
Yeah.
So they're low on the list with all the other problems that they have: malaria, AIDS, cancer, pandemics. So I always kind of have been low on the list, but still on the list. But I mean, if you're, like I said, India, use a vaccine with the big four, like I do, which I'd get the pure venom, you're not going to die. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, let's have a better product on the shelf.
Yeah.
Antibody that's made that's not going to cause anaphylactic shock because it doesn't come from horses or other animals. That's what's cool about this.
Yeah.
It's going to reduce IgE anaphylactic shock to hopefully nothing.
Yeah,
you
man.
Can maybe give it to yourself in the field. It's a lyophilized product. Put some saline in there or whatever, and if you get bit, doesn't matter what you get bit by because it's universal. If we can prove that. We're not there yet, but if we can.
So, and I wanted to ask you that question because for this weekend that's coming, I'm going, for example, I love like these crazy places, and I'm going to go to this ranch, which is a friend of mine ranch, a permaculture place, but they're in the fucking desert and there's a fuckload of rattlesnakes and shit like that. And although I love these animals and I love to see them there on the wild like environment and stuff like this, like I'm always like on the lookout so I don't step on one or any crazy thing like this, because like although I love them, I fear them a lot because I know the snake it's not gonna come and beat me like on purpose, but I can step on it accidentally and it can beat me, right? And that would be like fucked up. And my friends are like mad because they think I'm crazy because I go to these places. And so I wanted to ask you like this vaccine question, because I don't know, man. I love, like, I would totally shut myself with it because I love these places and I know there's these animals there and I love they're there, but sometimes I fear I'm gonna get bitten, man, and it's on the middle of fucking nowhere and crazy stuff happens. So that's why I wanted to ask that question.
Well, the best thing you can do if you're not immune to it is, wear decent shoes.
Oh yeah.
Watch where you put your hands. Just basic stuff like that. Is the best thing you can do. Like I said, a better move would be to get a vaccine. And the crazy thing is, they have vaccines with dogs and cattle.
Oh yeah.
So how on earth, if you can have a vaccine, which they do in California, Red Rocks Biologics, and in South America to cattle, so they don't lose their cattle, they inject those animals with venom. It's the same thing I do.
Yeah,
they use a toxin.
entirely.
They use a toxoid. I just use pure venom, and that's why I'm so immune. But it's so logical that it sometimes escapes me because I can't believe the negativity with it. It's so logical. It's just so logical, and so someday that's going to change, I think. I don't think I'll see the day. I'm sure I'll see the anti-venom in the field, but
who knows, man? Technology is crazy nowadays, so maybe you'll see it. And you're such a big part of it that I would not be surprised if you see this happening sooner than you think, because I think, and I also think, and I hope so, that you will get bigger platforms and a lot of people it's going to know more and more about the project. So I think you have a big chance of seeing this happen.
Well, even if I don't, I'm proud of myself that I set a foundation down for it. I'm proud I took it to a new level. And the only reason I took it to a new level is because of biotechnology.
Oh, yeah.
What they can do with biotechnology, clone my stuff into the millions. And then they can pick all these little antibodies out and plug them in and do in vivo work in mice. Does it work? Doesn't it work? Pick a better one.
Yeah, it's almost like a puzzle.
It's a big puzzle.
Yeah.
It is. This thing would be so easy if we just had one antigen, like one COVID virus. Big deal. But you have hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
Different things. Now, the important thing to realize is, though, not all those toxins are toxic. Really, only 30% of the 10 neurotoxins, the neuromuscular junction, are super toxic. And one's really not toxic. Mamba venom, the K blockers, dendrotoxins, their LD50 is horribly weak. I is 38 milligrams kilogram, or I is 30 milligrams a kilogram. That's weak. But what the problem is this. Black Mamba, Dendroessus pilepis, 61% of the whole venom are dendrotoxins. So even if it's weak, there's so much of it.
It's a quantity.
Yeah, that's why we need those antibodies, along with PLA2 and nicotinic 11 short. And my job is to break that down LD50-wise. And that's how you prioritize it. Dendrotoxins were 2% of the whole venom, 3% of the whole venom. You wouldn't even need antibodies for it. It's not going to do anything to you. But because it's 61% with Black Mamba and 30 in viridis in the green, you have to have them. So we need those 3 out of the 10 antibodies. That's what we're working on.
Oh, interesting.
For half the project. That's just half the project.
Yeah. So now that you mentioned the Mamba, this popped on my head. Have you been bitten by the green one?
I've been bitten by all 4.
Oh. And
Amosonite, Viridis, Angusticeps, and Polylepis, 100 bites.
From all 4, yeah. How many times? I saw you have been bitten more than 2,000 times. No, 200 times. Sorry.
No, 200. I don't want to get to 2,000. I'll be too old.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I exaggerated that a little bit. Oh, that's
I want
crazy.
to get the 200 bite mark because Haas was bitten. Who's my idol, Bill Haas.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about him too. Yeah.
bitten 172 times, and I'm like, I got to do a little better than that just to go over the edge, you know. And a lot of his bites were, most of my bites are self-induced. I hadn't had too many where it was an accident because you can still do things safely.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with people using gloves, using hooks, having a proper protocol, having your own anti-venom, having your IND number. That's awesome. But that didn't answer the questions for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how it felt. And the reason I went hardcore with Mambas is, for me, that's the quintessential venomous snake on the planet. There's other ones, of course. But Mambas, because of their toxicity, their speed, their fang length, their aggression, at times, not all.
Man, they're crazy snakes.
Crazy snakes.
Because I've seen these guys handle a bunch of snakes, and they're also like king cobras. They make it look like it, like I don't think it is, but they make it look easy as fuck. Like the cobra is like real, like what's up, and it's watching, and it's like calm. But the fucking mambas, man, like they're like all over the fucking place, reckless, like, and you never know where the head is, and these guys are like almost dancing with the fucking snake, so the snake don't bite them, and it's crazy. Speed, like the speed and the power of the snake, it's surreal.
Yeah, they're very unpredictable, and they like to bite constantly. I mean, I've had so many double bites that it's not even funny. It's just pop.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine it's
That's
not funny.
You know, so I wanted to get to that level, and once I got to that level, then I jumped over to Taipans. And
the Taipans, man, that blew my mind.
They're wicked, man.
Yeah,
you know, I started with coastal Taipan venom, Scutulatus, and I started with dried venom before I got my P&G Taipans because I wanted to just have some immunity before I started milking my P&G Taipan. And I transitioned over to that, and yeah, the venoms. You know, well, Taipan's the most venomous snake on the planet.
Yeah, that's why I was amazed.
Inland Taipan 0.025. That's 1.75 milligrams to kill me at 70 kilos.
Yeah, that's crazy.
1.75 milligrams. That's nothing. And they don't kill a lot of people because of where they live. They're kind of in the middle of nowhere. But like I said, I wanted to get those antibodies to the snakes because I knew I could transition those antibodies over to other snakes. My IG is going to recognize that. And the lab sure as shit proved it.
Yeah. Man, that's oh yeah. It's a crazy thing, but it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man, I have a couple more questions. So first, you already mentioned the guy of the Miami Serpentarium. Bill has, I don't know how, I forgot his name. So I wanted to actually ask you, like, because I saw it is closed, and Miami, it's a place I love, and I've been there a few times. So when I acknowledged, oh man, that's crazy, man, that's super cool, because I know he passed away. And that's a shame. And I also, as I was saying, I saw the Serpentarium. It's closed right now. And Miami, it's a place I love, and I've been there a few times. So I would have loved to visit that place, and I would have loved to know the guy because he was like a pioneer, like you were saying before, and a huge inspiration for your generation and next generations of people that is interested on this topic.
Yeah, he's the pioneer of self-immunization. His first injection was 1948 with Cape Cobra venom. And when I got a chance to go to Punta Gorda and meet him, it was wicked. I wasn't even self-immunizing back then. I was thinking about it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
He didn't help me out because he couldn't help me out because of liability reasons. But the nicest, toughest son of a bitch on the planet. Little dude. But boy, he could milk snakes, and what he did back in the day, if he was here now with biotechnology, he'd probably be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But back then, biotechnology back then was really not really around. I mean, it was around a little bit, but not like it is today. So if it wasn't for him, along with two other buddies of mine, I probably never want to have done it. I never would have thought about it. But when I got his book, Cobras in the Garden, in his garden, I read it, went down to meet him. I spent a couple days there, and I came back, and I'm just like, shit, I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Man, that's fucking awesome. So how did you get that opportunity to meet him?
I called him every week.
Oh, fuck.
I called him every single Saturday. Either I would talk to Nancy.
Oh, yeah. I saw Nancy too on the research.
Yeah. Or I would talk to him. And I got so nervous that when I tried to talk,
nothing came out.
Nothing came out. I just said, like a total idiot, I didn't know anything.
Yeah, it has happened to me, man.
You couldn't because of liability reasons, but it'd be kind of cool if he was here now to see what happened in the last, when I met him in 1999, how much has changed.
Yeah.
The whole landscape is completely different.
Actually, one of my questions was going to be like, did you thought when you started you were going to be where you are right now, like with the technology and the people you know right now against the people you knew then? What do you think? Like, do you think it was going to be this way?
Never in a million years did I think that I could talk to Nobel winners, work with PhD scientists at CENTIVAX, talk to Sean B. Carroll, talk to the guy who co-invented IgE antibodies. I got hundreds of them. And that's just through persistence. But when I first started, I never, ever, ever imagined it. I mean, I was just trying to get to the next day, the next bite. What do I do now? Because I got my ass handed to me bad when I first started with scientists. Doesn't work. Nobody's going to study you. Why are you wasting your time? And it kind of mentally got to me for a little bit. Because I looked at it logically and I'm doing it. And they weren't doing it. And I had to get that shit out of my head, because without getting out of my head, I couldn't move forward. So when I first started, no, not at all.
Crazy.
The only reason I came in hope was when the first time I was studied was by Dr. Anthony Tu, professor of biochemistry at Colorado State University. Wrote the book on venom, along with Finlay Russell. When I talked to two of those guys, and they supported me, I'm like, all right, I got your support. I'm good to go. And that's what's behind me right there.
Oh, nice.
I like to read that once in a while because it gives me hope when things are bad that I had the support from the legends. They weren't immune to venom, but they knew way more about venom than I did or ever will. And so I kept building on that foundation and kept moving forward with that. And that was what really, it took off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to end up working with Jake, who's the highest level scientist in the planet. It's exhilarating to talk to these people because it's a whole new level, and I'm really proud to be part of it. I mean, they're doing more than I'm doing with it because of the lab, but without my antibodies, the lab wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So I played a small part in it. I think they're playing a bigger part, but it's really cool to sit back and just say, guess what, if I die tomorrow?
You've contributed.
I did something worth a shit.
Yeah, but man, I think you're a super big part of it too, because if you didn't exist or if you haven't did nothing of what you've done so far, like they couldn't do anything. So that's what I said since the beginning. Like, I wanted to congratulate you and thank you for your work, because it's something that I believe it's important. And well, you said it. And well, I have a couple more questions just before I ask them. About this you were speaking about. I even saw you got like death threats and stuff like this just because you were beating yourself with the snakes, and people get crazy because they just, I don't know, they just are willing to see the things as real as they are, you know?
Well, it's the reptile world. And the reptile world is a different beast, especially when you go into this field and you have these people that milk snakes and just come after you because they think I'm going to take their business away because of the anti-venom, which I hope I do. I want to, because that's my job. You know, we've gone so far with this that milking snakes and all that shit's going to be a thing of the past, because if you can clone antibodies, what's the point of milking snake? That's done. You know, we have a library at CENTIVAX with my antibodies in it. I don't need to milk snakes anymore.
Yeah.
And I think they're upset with that because maybe their livelihood might be taken away. Number one. Number two, they can't beat the bites, which if you're milking snakes, you should. I mean, your goal is not to die or to make a little bit of money, which they don't, because you're not immune and have to pay a big hospital bill.
Yeah. Yeah,
to
completely.
me, that's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah, man. I'm a huge believer in making things better and not just profit from them. Because I think when you just focus on making profit of something, you almost don't want it to grow, because you almost want to make the people believe like this is it and it cannot get better, when that's fucking bullshit almost with everything. Because everything can get better and everything can be a better product, and everything can be better for humans too. So yeah, man, I'm 100% with you on this one.
You know, and to add to that point, you know how much money we want to make on a vial of anti-venom?
Oh no, I know they are expensive. Like these bales of venom are expensive as fuck. Like one, like
we're doing the opposite of that though. We want to sell it for $10 to $30 a vial. You know why?
Oh shit! No, tell me.
People don't have this kind of money. And
yeah, I know.
Representatives from the old world, they don't have $2,000 crowfab money. They might have $10 to $15. So we're not doing it to make money. We're doing it to make a product that can be used, that they can afford, whether it be the governments or a private village or wherever you live. We're not trying to rape these people. We're trying to do it for as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
And when I talk to Doctors Without Borders, we all agree, maybe somewhere from 10 to let's say $50 a vial. We don't know, because we're not in the manufacturing business quite yet. We're not that far of what that's going to take. But we're not looking to make $1,000, $2,000 a vial. Give it to the hospital, they mark it up to $10,000 a vial, and you have $100 grand.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy fucking things.
Yeah.
And I think because my best friend, she's a doctor, and she was explaining me. I told her I was gonna do the podcast with you. I told all my friends, and they were like, "What the fuck, you're crazy." But I told her, and she's a doctor, and she told me like, if you go to a hospital with a snake bite, they have to put you at least 6. But maybe you're gonna need 25 fucking bales of anti-venom. So that's some crazy fucking numbers.
Yeah, now that's one of the things that we started talking about is like we need to market it so they can afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's going to be huge volume in it, but I didn't start doing this to make any money. That's not the goal. We wouldn't make anything if we charged that much because they can't afford it. Sometimes $50 might be, I don't know, maybe 2 months of their wages.
Yeah.
You know, depending on where you go, obviously it varies, country to country and continent to continent, but there's no reason for that. So if we can manufacture this and have it at a low cost, that's the goal. And this is really cool too. We have an idea how we might want to get this into the field using drones.
Mm.
And they're dropping medicine off right now with drones. And Jacob's friend owns a drone company. And we thought about, hey, how cool will it be if you put an address in? Wherever you are, whatever you need, and that drone can just drop whatever you need right there.
That would be super fucking awesome.
It'd be awesome, man. Yeah, because there's a lot of things we have to work on. I mean, going back to the basics, these people have to have shoes. They need tents. They need cots. They need phones. They need transportation to get to the hospital. It's not going to do any good if you get there and you're dead. So those are just basic things they have to work on. Keep your house clean.
Yeah.
So you keep the rats away because snakes are going to eat the rats, and that's what
Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
You know, I mean, easier said than done, but a lot of places are starting to do that. And once that's in place, and you have a really good product that you can get hopefully close by. If not, if we could draw it in quick as hell, and they're already doing with other medicines right now.
Yeah.
That's about as good as we can get right now. About as good as we can get.
That reminded me a little bit of like Steve Irwin's vision. Like I remember he didn't want it almost to transport these animals to other like places. He almost wanted to encourage people to have better fucking habits, like get the fucking place clean, man. Like you're gonna have snakes if there's rats here. And I mean, the snake is gonna help you fucking eradicate the rat. But if you don't want the snake here because obviously it's dangerous, don't have like all these things rats are gonna fucking like, you know? That's fucking like I'm 100% with you, man. So
yeah, I think what you need to do is have educational programs. Look at I went over there. Look at a house. Where are the holes? Where are the rats? Where are the snakes? How you sleeping? What kind of shoes do you have? What kind of transportation? What kind of cell phone? How far you are away? And evaluate those situations.
Yeah, completely.
And try to help them with that. You know, if they do it, they do it. If not, well, I can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's up to the people too, man. Like you cannot save everybody. Like they gotta do stuff too. Yeah.
But yeah, they gotta, and a lot of it too. The governments have to give a shit about this. You know, snake bite's a big problem in certain places, and government interaction is big. You know, with a lot of things in it. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm basically trying to communicate to people that are, let's say, 8,000 miles away. I can't speak their language. I can't talk to them. I'm not there.
Yeah.
I can only do so much. Like talking to you today is helpful because somebody might hear it and have an idea.
Yeah.
Have a thought. Pass it on. You name it. And that's why.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. And I'm glad you're doing this because I do believe you're helping a lot of people. Well, I have a couple more questions, just two more. Just let me go fast to the restroom because the beer has made its effects on me. So
I'm gonna go to the restroom too. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Oh, great. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. So I have a couple more questions, man. This one, it's like almost, well, I guess it's like a deep question. So I consider myself like sort of like a spiritual person, although I'm not religious, nor I don't fucking believe in anything like those zodiac things. Like if Mercury it's fucking like crossing the sun, you're gonna be fucking, I don't know, whatever. I don't believe in any of that shit, but I do meditate a lot, and I do a lot of introspection. And I wanted to ask you if all this journey of all these years has been almost like a spiritual path to you, because I know from the story I read that you've got a lot of like personal problems, which I'm not gonna like go into them because that's all yours. But I wanted to ask you if this has almost been like a spiritual experience. And also because of the pain, like the physical pain, I also think that can make you have some like almost like a spiritual experience, man. So I wanted to ask you that because I also watched, like, you have like this quote, like maybe not word for word, but you said something like, I've dedicated my life for something that it's for the sake of humanity. And I believe that too, because the things I do it for that same fucking reason. And when I saw that you said that although you've been on the service for humanity, you've have these personal bad experiences or almost like emotional bad experiences. And I know all of these people who take these paths. For example, Nikola Tesla, he wrote a letter to her mom before she passed away in Poland, I believe. And he was like, I've dedicated all my life on the service of humans, and I've received nothing but shame and people telling me shit, right? Like in few words. So yeah, I wanted to ask you if this has been almost like a spiritual experience to you.
I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any deities. I grew up religious. My parents are religious.
I don't believe in any like gods or anything like this too.
Yeah, I think you mean spirituality. I can't even say it. Spirituality. In a different sense, but maybe in the meditation sense. But I get asked that all the time. Do I believe in God because I'm so close to death all the time? And that's really never, maybe it's because I'm adopted. I don't know my real parents. I never met my real parents. I never met any of my family. And because of science, well, back to Darwin, I had to have a clear path. I mean, praying's not going to work to beat a bite. Believing in a deity, which has been thousands, is not going to beat a bite. Only science is going to beat that bite.
Oh, yeah.
And I agree with you.
I was asking more in the sense of like the sensation, like not almost like I believe God is saving me from all these bites, because I don't want it to sound that way. It's more like maybe the question would be better like, I have found myself through this process of these bites and stuff like this. Although obviously it's completely scientific, because like you said, you have everything documented, like note, like this happened, this fell this way, etc., etc.
Yeah, to answer that question, it did help me because this is all I do. And I suck at a regular job. I can't do a computer. I suck at almost everything. So for me, it was gratifying to be that close to death and to not die and make a difference. So in that case, it's spiritual, but in a different sense. It's more or less believing in me, my capabilities, my mistakes, my corrections. How do I maintain my life the way I want to maintain it? So in that respect, yeah, I agree with you. But I just don't, religion to me kind of fucked me up for a while because it just got to the point of so stupid. And when I started doing what I did, I had to cut it off. I couldn't.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I feel you. My family was religious too.
Yeah, and I have friends that are religious. I don't jump their shit. I don't believe in it. I mean, I'm not going to believe in Noah's Ark. That's stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that comes with that. I mean, I just ain't going to buy into it, And I thought I might have got back into a little more of that midway through my career, but I just never did.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at it like if I die, I die. I made a mistake. Been there, done that. And I just got better at it. And my entire foundation is science. Live and breathe science. I do not have a degree. I think I only have 6 college credits because I quit 3 times college. And I'm glad I did in hindsight. Nothing against academia because I work with scientists. They're beautiful people. What I did, though, they didn't believe in me. So I'm not going to give them my money if they don't think what I'm doing is working. So I mentally couldn't hang in that game no more. Couldn't do it.
Oh, I agree with you on that. And I don't think you need a degree to do something meaningful. Just to be clear with that. And I mean, you've come so far and you don't have a degree. I think the only thing you need is an obsession and the willingness to fucking act about it. So yeah, and just to be clear also about like this like last question, to me personally, the like this spiritual like thing or matter, like to me it has nothing to do with any kind of religion or cult or anything like that. To me it's more like spirituality is more like
personal journey.
Exactly, yeah. The like the realization like you can do a bunch of things, but you gotta believe in yourself, because you cannot expect anybody to believe in you, because you are the first one. You have to believe in yourself, right? Like,
Yep.
I don't know if I got that right, but I think it's spirituality. It's the capacity to look inside yourself and say, I gotta do like this, and I gotta do it because of the right reasons, and I know I can do it. And yeah, I don't know. I think to me it's almost like that. Not like, yeah, God gave me this will or whatever the fuck, right? Because I don't believe on that either. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. And well, this last question. Oh yeah.
If it helps, if it helps you out to get to a better day and you're a good person, do what you got to do. Believe in what you want to believe in. As long as you're not a dickhead about it and you're not hurting people, then you do what you got to do to get up in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah, totally.
Don't be stupid about it. So yeah, that's that. It took me a while to get over that, but I don't know. The more I read, the better it gets.
Yeah. Also that, man. Knowledge. I think if I were to fucking like, if I were to say God is something, I think God is knowledge. Like the more you know, like, I don't know. And reading it's the way.
Yeah, knowledge is a powerful thing. It feels good to understand your craft, whether it be heavy metal.
Oh yeah.
Whether it be the things you do. I don't know any of that stuff, although I enjoy it. I could never do it, but I truly enjoy it because it takes dedication.
Yeah.
It takes discipline. It could take 20 years on the road.
Yeah, it can take your life.
Cool as shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But you gotta be willing. And well, my last question, actually, I also have this other like kind of like podcast where, but not here, on a metal platform from Mexico. And I interview a lot of bands. I interviewed the drummer for Venom Inc. And that was a crazy moment for me. But I also always ask these guys, like, I have like a blooper section on this podcast. And I always ask, like, what's the craziest fucking thing that has happened to you? Like, I don't know, handling snakes or something. Like you say, like, nobody saw this, or maybe a few people watch this, but this is not on tape, but this happened. I don't know, something crazy.
When I got married. That's pretty crazy. No offense to my ex, that's a joke. Yeah, shit, crazy moments. Some of the bites, man, like my last black mamba bite in the finger, I passed out twice. And that was at the end of my career with it. Got me in the finger, just banging it up, not even being stupid, just got me. My girlfriend Gretchen was with me. Yeah, passed out once in the kitchen, hit my head, passed out in my snake room, dislocated my ankle.
Oh.
And I was doing boosters, I was doing everything, but that was the point of, shit, am I going to go down again? And I didn't. I made it through. But that's probably, well, there's a lot. I could go on and on with that, but probably the craziest is black mamba bite, Taipan bite back to back in 1 minute. For me, that was cool. And take the two most dangerous snakes, let it go for good reasons. And that's how I met Jake.
Oh.
So that experiment worked when I did it because he saw me on TV doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like when I got to the point of losing my shit. It's like, okay, no funding, no support, been studied, but not great studies. shit studies, basically. So, and when I look back on it, I was really proud of myself for pushing myself that hard, not just to not die, but to end up where I ended up now. It's completely different because of that one day of filming on Barcroft TV. And you can look that up. It's on Barcroft TV. And after that, I got the phone call. I walked out of my factory job and said, fuck it. That was it. And that's how I became to work for, at the time, Distributed Bio, but now CENTIVAX. Just because of that one moment in time.
Well, that's a great story, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was scared. It didn't work out perfectly, but
nothing ever does.
Oh, it never does.
A lot of people pretend like it does, but it never does.
90% of everything I've ever done has been a failure for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
10% is really sweet. But you have your divorces, you have your child support, you have people saying it doesn't work, and on and on and on and on. And you just need that little 10% winner to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever it is. It could be a band, a heavy metal band that's been failing for 20 years, and all of a sudden they cracked their first album.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask you, like, the question about spirituality, because I think, as I was saying, like, you were like failing and then again and failing and again and failing and again. And I think everybody who success at something, it's gotta do that exactly, like fail like a fucking million times just so maybe you can succeed once. But that once, as you said, it's gonna be sweet as fuck. So
yeah, that 10% when you hit it, you know, like the publications or Beating a Bite or Filming for History Channel or Filming with Henry Rollins, that's all in that 10% area. And it feels so good that 90% you completely forget about it.
Yeah.
It just disappears. You remember it, you don't forget about it, but that 10% keeps you riding as hard as you can push that. As long as you can push that 10% it's gonna pull you through. You just have to make sure that, you know, you don't quit at it and you keep pushing it and you make the right decisions. But I think in the long run, for me, it worked out, you know, for good reasons. Not everybody feels that way, but, you know, it's been a hell of a ride. I'm not sure I'd want to do it again. But, yeah.
It's a painful ride, too.
Oh, painful shit.
Yeah, I can imagine. Painful. Do you still have any of these snakes? Oh, sorry?
What?
What were you saying first?
Well, going back to it, that 10% is everything that got me through. I almost quit, I don't know how many times, because of that 90% bullshit. Internet comments, fuck, the list goes on, you name it. And if I want to quit 5, 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be making this product and we wouldn't advance this cause. So I look at that and how I got that 10% down and what I did with that. I kept focusing on that, you know, and there's still failure with it, but this is the first time in my life I do not have to talk to another scientist basically again. Because I work for the scientists that are already doing it. It's the first time in 4 years I haven't reached out to a lab every single day, multiple times a day.
Crazy.
Including the White House, including senators, including famous people like Nicolas Cage, including Henry Rollins. That 10%, me and Henry, 10%. Nicolas Cage didn't work out real well. No big deal.
But you at least tried.
I tried. It hurt because I thought I cracked it and we had some, you know, money coming in maybe and I could fund this somehow, but it failed. And I thought about quitting back then, but no. And no offense to him, he has his reasons for doing it. I mean, what I do is so goofy and crazy that I thought he might sign for it because half the movies that he does are goofy and crazy. But, you know, I can't look back at that and say, fuck you. No, you have a right to make your decisions and move on to the next one.
I agree with that too. Yeah, totally. Oh, the other question I asked, it was like, if you still have all these snakes.
No. I have one snake I'm looking at right now.
Oh.
Yeah, only one. It's a Western Diamondback, Eastern Diamondback cross. Probably the most dangerous snake I've ever had as far as killing rats. I started injecting venom a while back, and now I like to look at it. Before I used to want to put my hand in there or milk it or inject the venom. I just want to enjoy it for what it is. And for the last 4 years, that's the only snake I've had, and I haven't milked out since 2017.
Crazy.
I feed it a lot, and it sits there, and it's happy, and I know I beat not that particular bite, but Western Diamondbacks, so I kind of look at it in pride. I have a snake that I can beat, but for some reason, I just want to look at it and enjoy it.
Yeah. That's okay too, man. And I think it's a huge part of all this story you just told us. So, Tim, I wanted to thank you, man. Like, thanks for your time. Thanks for the knowledge. I really hope a bunch of people listens to this and also find you via other platforms, because I think this is very interesting. I think this is very important for people all around the globe. And thank you so much, man, because you basically traded your life for this mission, and it's an amazing thing to do. And I'm so very thankful and honored you came into the podcast. As I said, this is the 30th episode, so I want it to be something real special. And this is a topic I love. So although I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, I love science, I love species, I love snakes. And I've been asking for a year to speak with someone about this topic. And when I find you and when you replied so fast, I was super fucking excited. So thank you so much for that, man. You really made this episode a really cool one. And also, I didn't say it at the beginning, but I'm also premiering the intro for the podcast. It's kind of like a heavy metal song with like some images and stuff like this. So, well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me. I hope you had a great time talking with me. I don't know if you want to share any like social media or the website for the project. I don't know, anything you wanted to share?
Well, the company is CENTIVAX.com right there. And
oh yeah,
my Facebook page with my name, Tim Friede. And I have an SI site, self-immunization with snake venoms, that I run. I used to have a website, but I lost that years ago and just gave up on it. But those are the three big ones. And I constantly post everything that we do. I got a pretty decent following. It's pretty much strictly with what I do. And hopefully when our publication comes out in the next 2-3 months, I'll definitely let you know on that one.
Oh yeah, let me know, and I'll share every time you send me something. I'll share it for sure.
Yeah, share it and pass it around the world, because who knows who's going to see it, and it's going to be huge.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. Thank you so very much, man. I hope you guys can do this universal anti-venom, and maybe then a vaccine, so crazy people like me can take the shot and go do crazy fucking shit on the desert. And oh yeah, or in the jungle or whatever the fuck, because I love these adventures, man. So the only thing I worry about is fucking venomous animals. So thank you so much, Tim. I had a great time. I hope.
No, I had a blast. Loved your knowledge, and I love your heavy metal.
Oh yeah, man, that's another cool thing.
And I love your drinking a beer doing a podcast.
Oh yeah, man. I think I'm not a big drinker. Like I'll take like one beer or two, but people might think I'm an alcoholic because I'm always drinking on the podcast. But I have a good reason. It's because I'm not like a naturally extroverted person. I'm more like an introvert, and I like listening. So if I have a beer or two, maybe I speak a little bit more. So that's why. And
Yeah, it works.
yeah, it works totally. And I'm not ashamed of saying why I do it, because if anyone can benefit from it, just don't get too fucking drunk while you're talking.
Alrighty, sir. My battery's going low here. I'm going to lose my computer, but I'll hit you up as soon as the publication comes out.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. You know.
Awesome.
Yo soy Frankthulhu. Esto es Frankthulhus Meditations. Esto fue el episodio número 30. No olviden dejar sus comentarios en la parte de abajo, dar me gusta, seguirnos en los canales, seguirnos en las redes sociales. Y si no lo han hecho, y si siguen sin hacerlo, vamos a dejar una de estas serpientes venenosas en su casa, así que mejor síganos. Esto es Frankthulhus Meditations, es como la tercera vez que lo digo. Peace. Hagan sus sueños realidad. Sigan lo que sea que quieran hacer en la vida. Solo descubran qué quieren hacer y hagan lo posible. Adiós.